One simple trick pro players don't want you to know. Although actually they don't know it either. Well, hello there and welcome everyone. This is Nova and today I'm gonna be talking about the Age of Empires 2 Flashcards collection. This deck contains all 31 tech trees and I have made it after over 100 hours of work between streams. Before we jump into it though, let me take a quick moment to talk to you about our Lord and Savior to talk to you about memory. So while this is a deep subject, the gist of it is that we learn and forget stuff all the time, and the key to remember things is repetition. More importantly, we are going to be using Anki, which is a free, open source, powerful, cross-platform piece of software to manage flashcards. This program manages and schedules your flashcards so you don't have to do it manually, and it uses a spaced repetition system which is extremely efficient. Now, I'm not going to get into how to install Anki, but I'm going to leave a download link and an installation guide link in the description box. While there is a desktop, mobile and web version of the software, I highly recommend using the desktop version to customize your deck, and then you can use any other version to study if you want to. After you have installed Anki, we are going to need the deck file, which is included in the AoE zone thread that I have included in the description below. And it's this file over here. Once we have the deck file, we are going to launch Anki. We are going to go into File, Import, and then you select the right file here and import the deck. This pop-up says that there is 1933 elements that have been imported into Anki. And now two things are going to show up here, the Age of Empires 2 folder and the Tech Trees deck. You can use these interchangeably, but the Age of Empires 2 collection is going to get expanded in the future, but I'm going to talk about it later in the video as well. Alright then, we are going to go into Tech Trees and study now. The first card is actually a hint card, so we don't need to actually learn this. We're going to go to Show Answer, and this contains instructions as to how to hide these elements. Let's go to More and then Suspend Card, or you can also use the hotkey, which is the add symbol. Let's go through some of these items. Yeah, more hints, and that is the first question of the deck, which is what is the civilization type of the Aztecs? The idea behind flashcards, as in the actual pieces of paper, is that you have a question side and then you flip it to check the answer. Right here we are going to have the questions, and we are going to have to come up with the answers before using the Show Answer button. In this case, civilization type of the Aztecs is infantry and monks. I already know that, so if we go to Show Answer, that is exactly what we get. And then we are going to have, again, good and easy. The point here is that you're going to want to grade your answer. If it was easy to recall the answer to this question, we are going to use easy, otherwise we're going to use good. If we made a mistake, we're going to use again. So this was easy for me. And then there is another hint item. For SIP bonuses, we're going to have lists instead of question and answer. And yeah, we have the SIP bonuses here, we have the team bonus as well, and it's going to have a missing piece of information that we are going to have to come up with. In this case, the bonus that is missing is starting with 50 extra gold. Next question about the unique unit for the Aztecs, Jaguar Warrior, unique Castle Age technology of the Aztecs. And alright, we're going to stop here. As we click Show Answer, this is what most cards are going to look like in the deck. We have an icon, we have a name, and in case of technology questions, we also have a small description of what they do. Besides that, we also have a building icon, an H icon, and a tags field. So the building icon, of course, refers to the building from which this unit or technology is trained or researched. And the H icon is actually referring to the age in which this unit line or technology line first become available. This part is a little tricky, but I am going to explain more about it later in the video. The tag section is what I want you to pay attention to right now. Castle tag, tag, and unique tag are tags for this particular element. If we go forward, unique Imperial Age tag of the Aztecs, we're going to have Imperial Age tag, or actually Imperial tag, tag, and unique tag as well. And going forward, another hint card. What is the top militia line unit available to the Aztecs? That is the champion. Then we're gonna have militia line and unit tags for this particular item. Also notice the Dark Age icon here. I'm gonna talk more about it in just a moment. And let's stop here again for a moment. What is the top spear line unit available to the Aztecs? Now, Most civilizations actually get most of the top tier units and most of the top tier upgrades as well. So it's always going to be easier for you to try and memorize which top of the line units they don't get and which top upgrades they don't get. In case of the Aztecs, for instance, they get Champion, they get Elite Skirmisher, Elite Eagle Warrior, but they don't get Halberdier. So it's gonna be easier for you to just assume that they get the top of everything and try to memorize that they don't get Halberdier, rather than trying to memorize that they get Champion, that they get Elite Eagle Warrior, etc, etc. It's only one thing you have to remember as opposed to 4 or 5 or even more. Let's get into the next card. And what is the top infantry defense upgrade available to the Aztecs? That'll be plate mail armor. And I think we're gonna stop here. So tags, infantry armor, and tech as well. Now, you might have noticed that there is no questions regarding loom, wheelbarrow, and that kind of stuff. And the reason for that is that those are common technologies. There are some common units as well that we are not going to have questions for, such as monk availability, because every civilization gets those. Every civilization gets ballistics, chemistry, etc. Questions here, of course, only include units and technologies that civilizations are not guaranteed to get. And at this point, you might be wondering, what if I already know everything about the Aztecs? What if I already know all the blacksmith upgrades for all the civilizations? And for that, we're going to get into customization next. If we go into the browse section here, we're going to find a list of available tags on the left hand side. And if we go to the top into tag trees, we are going to see all the items available in the deck. Because of the way that I have made this deck, it's going to be highly flexible, which means that you can customize it so that it fits your particular needs. Now remember when we talked about suspension and suspending items? Well, suspended items are going to show up in yellow here, and that means that you're not going to go through them when studying the deck. As an example, we are going to go into, let's say, one of the tags here, spear line. We are going to go into edit, select all, and then we go into cards and toggle suspend, so they are all going to turn yellow. This is going to prevent Anki from showing questions regarding spear line availability for different civilizations. We can do this with pretty much any tag, so that we can do this with pretty much any tag, but we can also use the search bar. So we go into tag trees again, and into the search bar we are going to input Aztec. That is going to show up all the questions regarding Aztecs. We are going to select everything. You can also use the hotkeys, of course, and we are going to toggle suspend. This is going to remove these cards from the deck for us. Let's say that you're also feeling quite comfortable with all the units. So we're going to go down here, we're going to find the unit tag, we're going to select everything, and we are going to toggle suspend. And now that all the items are yellow, if you take a look at this, that's 600 elements that are going to be subtracted from the deck for us. So we're going to go back into the deck and let's see. Now the next question is, what is the civilization type of the Berbers? So we did not go through siege unit questions for Aztecs or monastery technologies questions for Aztecs. We are going straight into Berbers now. And you can do any combination of suspend and resume cards so that you can achieve the perfect deck for your particular needs. Next up is, what is the unique Castle Age tag of the Berbers, and as you can see, we did not go through what is the unique unit for the Berbers because of suspending all the unit cards. And now that you know how to customize the deck to fit your needs, we're going to talk about how to customize the cards themselves. If we go into edit, we're going to see the fields that Anki is using to get information for this card. We have a question field, answer field, etc, etc. Not only can you insert text here, but also media, as we have a picture here of the Castle Age technology. So if you notice any mistakes in the cards, you can edit the fields yourself and change that. Well, what's going to be the most important to you here is the notes field. Anything that you input here is going to be visible in the answer side of the flashcard. If we go into show notes, now the notes field's content is going to show up here. This is important because you can use that field for mnemonic devices or to draw relationships between cards. So a mnemonic device is simply a mechanism that you use to remember stuff more easily. As an example of a mnemonic device that I use myself, I use a picture of Ethiopian architecture to remember the fact that they don't get treadmill crane. And while this might not be entirely accurate because they don't build everything downwards, it helps me remember the card, which is what's important. And you can also draw relationships between cards, which is a very effective method of remembering stuff. For instance, I call Chatras, the Vietnamese upgrade that gives 50 extra HP to elephants, a buffed El Dorado, which gives 40 HP to Eagle Warriors. And now that we have gone through customizing the deck and the card anatomy, let's go into how to customize the looks of the card. We're gonna go into Edit once again, and this time we're gonna go into the Cards button here. This is going to open up a new window where we're gonna have 3 boxes on the left and 2 on the right. On the left we have the front template, the back template, and styling. This uses HTML for structure on the back and front template, and it uses CSS for styling in the middle. On the right hand side we have live previews of the front and back of the card. Now you don't need to be an expert to experiment with this. As a matter of fact, I am not. I just learned the basics of HTML and CSS so that I could build this for you. But yeah, any seasoned web developer is going to find a lot of mistakes probably. We can always update the deck in the future and make things better, but there's 2 things that I want you to pay attention here. If we go down a little bit, we are gonna find a number and a percentage class here that we're gonna be able to customize. And what's most important as well is the display value. Right now display is set as inline, but we can change this to none, and we can change the percentage display value to none as well. And as you can see now, the Casbah tech description doesn't say how much faster the team castles work, it only says team castles work faster. This is perfect for people who want to get a grasp of what technologies do, but they are not interested in the actual hard numbers. And yeah, you can revert this back to inline and it's going to display again 25% faster. We can change this back to inline, and then number values inside technology cards, they are going to show up again. I have also customized all the description of the technologies and the SIP bonuses so that they make sense with and without numbers. And we're gonna close this and go back to the deck. And let me point out as well that any changes that you make to the card templates are going to remain in place even if you update the deck afterwards. So whenever version 2.0 of this deck comes out, you're not going to be losing your styling. Now before jumping into the final section of the video, let's go into Tools, Manage Node Types, and this is going to bring up Age of Empires 2 Close and Age of Empires 2 Regular. What this means is that we're going to have 2 different card types for the deck. Age of Empires 2 Regular is going to be used for question and answer type of cards, and Age of Empires 2 Close is going to be used for SIP bonuses. And if we go into Age of Empires 2 Close and then we go into cards, this is going to bring up the same window we had before, although with the generic example. And if we go into styling and scroll down, we are going to find the number and percentage properties that we can change the values of. So remember that whenever you change something, if you want that to affect your entire deck, you need to make the same changes in both Age of Empires 2 Close and Age of Empires 2 Regular. Now we're gonna jump into studying options. Back into the main deck window, we are going to go into the cog icon, into options, and this is going to bring up our studying settings. And inside here we're gonna have a new cards tab and a reviews tab. Now there's a lot of things that you can change in Anki regarding studying and settings. It's going to be too long if I cover everything, so we're just going to stick to the basics. New cards per day is basically the amount of new items that we want to learn daily, and reviews is going to have a maximum reviews per day number here that we can change. That basically limits the amount of cards up for review that we go through every day. And if you remember back at the beginning of the video when I said that memorization is all about repetition, this is what we were talking about. Because Anki uses a spaced repetition system, it's gonna try to figure out when you are most likely to forget a given item, and it's going to schedule a repetition just before that happens. So that gets rid of unnecessary repetition and makes the system very, very efficient. If we apply this principle to learning all 31 tech trees, going at a pace of 20 new items per day, you're gonna learn all 1900 to 2000 items in about 3 months, a little bit more, which is very fast actually. When you compare this to playing the game casually a few times per week, it could take you years before you learn all 31 tech trees completely. but chances are your deck is going to be significantly smaller than the entire collection. And once you have filtered out the things that you don't want to learn, you're probably going to be down to 800 to only 1000 items. You're going to be able to go through those in 40 to 50 days, starting 20 new items per day. That is not slow at all, and believe me, it goes by extremely quickly. Just think about yourself 30 days to 50 days ago. If you started with this by then by now you would already know all 31 tech trees. It's going to be better for you to stick to a low number of new cards per day, such as 20. Stick to it and finish the deck, rather than going insanely high to 100 and then getting incredibly overwhelmed and dropping it. As a rule of thumb, during loaded days, between new cards per day and also items coming up due for reviewing, you're gonna be doing anywhere from 4 times to 5 times as many items as the new cards per day indicate. So while going 20 new items per day is going to result in 80 to 100 elements in total during heavy days, you can go through that in less than half an hour. The same cannot be said about 500 elements if you go for like 100 new items per day. And you can also think about it this way. If you are spending more time going through flashcards daily than it would take to play a single online match, you are surely overdoing it. So there's a few final notes that I want to go through before closing this up, and the first one is habit. Having a low amount of new items per day is going to make it so much easier for you to stick to this and do your daily reviews every day. So also think that skipping 1 day or 2 from your daily reviews from time to time is probably gonna be fine. You're just gonna have to work a little bit harder the next day to compensate. Skipping an entire week is a no-go. And while you might have earned yourself a full week of vacation after a year of hard working, your memory doesn't work like that. If you don't go through your reviews, you are eventually going to forget stuff. And don't think this is only for the Age of Empires 2 flashcards collection. This is how memory works for everything. Think about all the times that you crammed for an exam, never went through the material again, and forgot everything 2 weeks after. So making a habit out of reviewing flashcards is also going to be very useful in case you want to start learning other things in the future and want to use Anki for that too. And before leaving, I'm gonna mention something. Whenever you are studying things, don't ever use the suspend note option, always use the suspend card. The reason for this is that SIP bonuses are a single note that generates different cards. So if you go through a SIP bonus that you already know and you don't want to see it in the future, if you use the suspend note option, it's going to suspend also the other cards for the rest of the bonuses. Also, if you keep missing a particular element, Anki is going to suspend it automatically for you. This is done to prevent something called leeching, and it basically just means that you need to come up with a better way to remember it, otherwise it's going to make it harder for you to remember related stuff. And alright, that has been it. I talk more about the deck in the AoE zone post that I have linked for you, and I have some plans for the future. I would like to introduce a new deck into the collection containing stats for units, technologies, and buildings as well. So everything from training, researching, and creation time for units, technologies, and buildings, to training, research, and creation cost as well, line of sight, armor, etc, etc. Basically, it's going to depend a lot on how well received this is, as it represents a lot of work for me. I am not a programmer, so I do everything by hand. And yeah, that has been it for me today. Thank you so much for watching. This has been Nova, and feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel for more Age of Empires 2 content coming up soon. Follow me on twitch.tv/Nova Inc. if you want to see me get wrecked while I try to get good at this game, and also subscribe to Bully Official's YouTube channel and follow its Twitch account as well, as I am a caster there and I will love to see you during the live streams. Bye bye everyone.